thanks for watching DIY Bride. In this episode, we're going to be replacing a window regulator on a 2004 Honda Pilot here on the left rear door. The process of this video is very similar to other Honda models. So if you have a Honda Odyssey, Honda Accord, Civic, whatever, pretty much it's the same process on virtually all the Honda models out there. This video will also be helpful if you're replacing a window regulator on really any other car, especially the imports like Toyota and the other import models other than Honda. This process is really similar, and it even applies to the domestic models. Some of the European models may be a little bit more advanced, a little bit harder than what's going to be in this video. But if you have a domestic vehicle, import vehicle, this video should be really helpful to you. Also, if you have a Honda, we're specifically replacing the window regulator on Honda. So this is what a window regulator looks like. This is the one that came out of my Honda.
KJ, the tool guy.
The tool guy.
He's going to show us what tools you need to do this job. And I have over here some more required type tools that you have to have. And then these two tools over here are optional to make the job a little bit faster, quicker to do. So Keaton, what's the first tool we need here, son?
This one.
Needle nose. Second one?
This.
Pliers. And then you got your screwdrivers.
Flathead screwdriver.
Okay.
And then the screwdriver.
Phillips.
Phillips screwdriver. And I don't remember.
That's a ratchet.
Ratchet.
But it has a 10 millimeter socket on it, and you definitely need a 10 millimeter for this job. Then over here we have that's a panel popper.
Panel popper.
Okay, and then Dad's favorite tool is what's that called, son? Drill driver.
Drill driver.
Yep.
And then
Also known as just a impact driver, which has a 10 millimeter socket on there as well. And then Keaton pointed out, if you're going to use the drill driver, you're going to need a Phillips to get the screws out of the door panel. You can use this in place of that 10 millimeter. So that's the tools that you need. You only need less than an hour to do this job, and it's something that the regulator is going to cost you less than $100. So you can get your window fixed for under $100 and a few basic tools, less than an hour, and you've got a fixed window, right, Keaton? Right?
yes.
Did we already fix the window on the Pilot? It works, right?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Way to go, dude. All right, guys, got the Pilot here, and today we're going to be changing out the window regulator in this door. The other day we shut the door and the glass just fell down. I'm assuming inside there the window regulator is broken. So I've picked up a new regulator, and I'm going to show you guys how to replace it. So you've got a screw here you've got to undo, and then you've got to take this little cover off here and remove the screw behind there. And then the rest of the panel is just held on there by clips. Alright, so I've picked up this Napa window regulator. This is the part number for the left rear door. They had it in stock, didn't have to special order it in or anything. You're probably going to pay somewhere around $80 for this part. Alright, so here's what the new window regulator looks like. It's made by a company called Dorman. You can go to dormanproducts.com and get more information about these window regulators. But it comes with a new motor, and it looks like bolts and stuff there to bolt that to the door. So let's get the panel off of this thing and get it replaced. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is grab you either a Phillips screwdriver or a drill driver with a Phillips head on it. Got a Phillips screw there. Next, take a hook tool like this one here, or a flat-headed screwdriver, and pry back the little plastic piece that's behind the handle. This hook tool worked really well to pull this plastic piece out. Just get on the top of it and pull it out there. There's 2 Phillips screws back there. Now, you see this little plastic clip here that hooks on that metal rod. You've got to pry that off, a flat-headed screwdriver, to remove the handle. Just pry on the top of the little plastic clip there. And then you can kind of pull it the rest of the way with your finger, and then the metal rod will just kind of lift up out of that little hole there. So you can see that metal rod just kind of fits in that hole and then clamps on with this piece of plastic. You got to be careful not to break these. They can get kind of brittle. You can pick them up, you know, at the Honda dealership. If you break one, you can get another one, but if you're careful, you can get it off fairly easy. Alright, so the next thing you want to do before you pull the panel off, you've got to pull this up here. Just take your flat-headed screwdriver and pry up, and it's going to pull this little pocket out along with the window switch. Alright, so you can see this little switch. It's got a little push clip. Push that in with your thumb and just pull it out. Now there's an additional screw, Phillips screw, right here. Now take your flat-headed screwdriver and you're just going to pry behind the panel and the door and just kind of pry up or out, and you're going to undo the clips. Once you get it out a little bit, just use your hands, pry the rest of the clips off, and then you can see this little lock here. Just pull that up and out of there so you don't break it, and pull the panel off and move it to the side. Now you've got this plastic sheet here. You want to try to not rip this as much as possible. It's on there to kind of keep dust and stuff from entering in the vehicle and inside the door where it's not supposed to go. So you just pull the plastic sheeting off. Speaker out. On the back of the speaker, it has a clip mechanism that you squeeze both sides and then you just pull it out like that. Okay, so I'm just going to pull the plastic sheet down to there. And then the window regulator is held in here with a bolt here, a bolt here, bolt here, bolt here, and then the motor has 3 10mm bolts there. Grab your drill driver with an attachment with a 10mm socket on it. Alright, so you want to grab the glass and push it up, and there's going to be a couple bolts that bolt the regulator to the glass, and you just position the glass You've got a hole right here and you've got a hole right here. There's 2 more 10mm bolts there. So position that. Now make sure you're real careful at holding the glass in place so that it doesn't drop into the door and break it. Position the window so it lines up into these bolts here. Try not to drop the bolts down into the door, but if you do, it's okay. You just have to reach down in there, grab your bolt. Undo the regulator from the window and carefully let the glass back down. Once you get the regulator unhooked from the glass, sometimes it works best to have somebody hold the glass up and out of the way in this position up here. You can hold the glass up and out of the way with another person. They sell these little clamp things that'll hook on here, suction cup clamps. Suctions on this side, suctions on this side, so it holds it up while you're pulling the regulator in and out. You can pry a board up inside the door there to hold it in place. Okay, once you have the window held up in place, take your pliers. There's a little plastic clip there, goes through the door. It's actually assisting to hold the regulator. You got to take that, push it through the panel there. Just use needle nose pliers to do that. Okay, while holding the window up, you've also got to unplug the regulator from this connector here. Take a flat-headed screwdriver or some pliers and pull the little clips out so you can get the harness off of the door. And you're going to take and push the wire through this hole. Now pull your regulator out of this larger hole in the door here. And then carefully let your window back down. Okay, so now's a good time to kind of compare the new part with the old part to make sure you've got the correct part. What's happened here is you can see on the new one, the cable here is going on up into that mechanism. This one here, you can see the cable's gone. What happened is the little mechanism that holds the cable in this device right up in here, it snapped and caused the cable to come disconnected from this adapter plate here, and it dropped the glass and kind of bound up the little wire there and popped that spring out. You could probably try to repair this, but it would be probably a temporary repair. I would recommend just starting fresh with a new window regulator. Okay, so now you just install this basically in the reverse order that you pulled it out. And again, you want the glass all the way up. Hold that up into position. Put in your new regulator inside the door. Then what I do is I start with the top. And rather than tighten the bolts all the way, just have them fairly tight so you can readjust the regulator as needed. At this point, you can let the window rest back down inside the door so you don't have to keep holding it up. line up the bottom portion of the regulator to the holes in the door. And then before you mount the window motor, you want to push the wire through the hole. You don't need to connect it up or anything yet. Line up the bolts. Again, you don't need to tighten them all the way, just enough to kind of hold it in place. Get it positioned in there good. And then you push the glass back up. Okay, so I've got the glass just sitting in the regulator. It has that little mechanism that bolts the regulator to the plastic piece that's glued to the window. You kind of set it in there and it kind of locks into place. It's got a couple channels that hold it there in place. And we need to get the window up a little bit higher so that we can bolt it in. So we're going to plug the regulator back in so we can give it power. Plug the switch back in. Turn the ignition on and roll the window up. Just so you can line up the bolt holes just enough to get the window, the glass actually bolted to the regulator. At this point you can make sure these bolts are tight. Unplug your switch. Now take and position your connector back into that little orange clip there. Now just go through, make sure you've got everything lined up good. If everything looks like it's lined up good, go ahead and torque all the bolts. Alright guys, so now we've got the new window regulator installed inside of the door. Now it's time to reinstall the door panel and you've got this window fixed. Now take and just reinstall your plastic. Get it positioned right so that your screw holes are in the correct positions. Make sure you've got your wire out through behind from behind the plastic. Push everything back together. I kept these little black plastic clips to reinstall to kind of hold this plastic sheet on. And if you rip this sheet a little bit, that's okay. You just want to try to keep it in as best shape as you can so it doesn't get too trashed. Don't forget to plug the speaker back in. Alright, when reinstalling the speaker, make sure you get it positioned in the correct spot, that it fits in there correctly, and each one of the screw holes line up to the holes that you need. Be careful when screwing these back in that you don't slip off and put a hole in your speaker. Okay, so now you can take your door panel, position the lock back into the slot inside the door panel. Position the wiring harness that goes to the switch back through this hole. When putting this panel back on, make sure you put the top of the panel back into the window channel first, and then line up the plastic clips to the holes in the door. and just give it a smack into place. Don't forget this large screw that goes right here near the pull handle. Screw that back into place. Reinstall your window switch. Not forgetting to plug the connector back in. Position the cup holder underneath the front of the door panel first, and smack that into place. Grab the other larger screw, tighten that, reinstall your door handle. Got to position that little clip back into place, back on top of the rod. Reposition the handle into place, locate the screws. Okay, locate the little plastic piece here, and the two little tabs. You can see it's got one tab and it's got two tabs. You take the two tabs and put it towards the top, and the one goes at the bottom. Push that into place, make sure everything looks good. It's all secure, all the screws are in, that's plugged in. Double check to make sure your lock mechanism there is working. Sounds like my handle is releasing the latch. Now you want to double check your window operation. Okay, so we've got this baby fixed. Let's try it out. Gonna roll it down, roll it up. What you're making sure is that it's not jumping or it's twisting if it's going forward or back or anything like that, doing any kind of binding. You want to make sure it doesn't make any weird sounds. If it's making weird sounds or it's binding, you're going to need to pull it back apart and double check everything, and also check the tracks and see if there's anything else that could potentially be messed up. Otherwise your window regulator is probably going to break again. This one's operating pretty normally. I feel good about it. It seems to be working just the way that it should. So there you have it. So for about 85 bucks and less than an hour, some basic tools, screwdrivers, drill driver, a 10mm socket. This is something you can really pretty easily do yourself and save yourself a couple $100 from going to the shop. So there you have it, guys. Another do-it-yourself task. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like the video. If you have any comments, go ahead and comment them below the video, and keep supporting DIY Bry so that I can provide you guys with some more do-it-yourself videos, how-to videos. I try to provide good information, tools that you need, general costs of what these projects cost, how long they take, and hopefully give you some pretty good instructions on how to do this yourself. Thanks again, and subscribe to the channel.